The Imam of the righteous ones, Prophet Muhammad, mentioned the, the Dajjal and his affair is too insignificant in relation to the majesty and exaltedness of Allah to be mentioned in the Quran. The duty of clarifying his matter was charged to every prophet. One might say, in spite of false claims and lies, Pharaoh was mentioned in the Quran. This is related in the following verses, saying, I am your Lord, Most High. Pharaoh said, O chiefs, I know not that you have an Ilah, a god other than me. But the affair of Pharaoh's is different. It is over with, and his lies have been exposed to every believer and person of sound mind. The fitna trial and the Dajjal is to occur in the future as a test for people. Furthermore, that he is not mentioned in the Quran shows how insignificant his affair is. His lies are too plain to be pointed out. Sometimes so clear is a matter that one chooses not to mention it. For example, as the Prophet was enduring his death sickness, he intended to write a declaration appointing Abu Bakr as-Siddiq as the Khalifa after him, but then he abstained from doing so, saying, Allah and the believers refuse anyone other than Abu Bakr to be the Khalifa after me. Therefore, the Prophet refrained from explicitly appointing Abu Bakr as Khalifa because he knew his superiority, but more so he knew that the companions acknowledged that superiority, and that is why the above mentioned hadith is mentioned as being one of the proofs of prophethood. Prophethood. Proofs of prophethood. The point is that the matter was so clear that the Prophet didn't need to make any additional remark on the point, for it had already been settled in the hearts of the companions in a similar way. It is clear and plain that the Dajjal is wicked, vile, and furthermore is too plainly defected to make the claim for divinity that he will make. Allah did not mention him, knowing that his affair will have no other effect on the believer than to increase his faith, his submission to Allah, his belief for the truth, and his rejection of falsehood. And that is why the believer who is killed and brought back to life by the Dajjals will say, By Allah, I have only gained a clear understanding about you. You are the one-eyed liar that the Messenger of Allah verbally spoke to us about. So some have taken the apparent meaning of this narration and said that believer is kidr. Apparent here signifies the literal meaning because that believer will say spoke to us about some have said that he was alive during the lifetime of the Prophet, and so he must be Kidr. Related this from Ma in his Jama' related that the Messenger of Allah said, Perhaps he who has seen me and heard my speech will reach him. The Dajjal This narration might have strengthened the opinion of those who say that the believer mentioned is Kidr, but its chain has some ghariba to it, and perhaps the Prophet spoke these words before the matter of the Dajjal became more clear to him, and that Allah knows best when relating the story of Al-Qidr. We mentioned the different opinions of people regarding him, and we furnished proofs which indicate that he did in fact die. Whoever wants to see those proofs can refer to the section on the stories of the prophets in this book. In a previous volume, and Allah knows best. What is correct? How to protect oneself from the Dajjal. Said seeking protection from the Dajjal is related from the Prophet. Related the following from the Prophet: whoever memorizes 10 verses from Surah Al-Kahf, the chapter of the cave, is protected from the fitna trial and of the Dajjal. Said the same, except that he said whoever memorizes the end verses of Shoba, also related from Qadr, that related the same wordings in some narrations. Verses from the beginning of Surah Al-Kahf protected from the Dajjal following. Memorize.